Hey, how y'all doing today? This is the Let's Talk with Paula show, and it's where, we try to give y'all a lot of information in a short period of time. I love that commercial that says that, that tells you about all the shows that are coming on, and by the time you finish, you know that you would have known within a half hour how it ended. That's a commercial. It's cool. It talks about this, the different shows. You see what I be doing, right? When I'm not doing homework and I'm not sick. Okay, being sick, that's not good, right? But anyway, I'd like for Donald to introduce himself, Attorney Bell to introduce himself.
Good evening, and thank you for having me back on this show. My name is Donald Bell. I'm an attorney here in Maryland. I'm based here in Prince George's County. My office is in Greenbelt, and I am so happy to be back on the show. I practice primarily consumer bankruptcy, and I tell people I'm not a bankruptcy lawyer, I'm a wealth preservation lawyer, because I believe what I am doing is I'm helping people preserve wealth by helping them save their homes from foreclosure and helping them get out of debt. So, I don't classify myself as a bankruptcy attorney. I look at myself as someone who helps families, helps individuals do wealth preservation.
A generational wealth consumer advocate.
Yes.
I know, because you always talk about generational wealth.
I think that's my calling. When we talk about like your ministry or what you were put on this earth to do, I think that's sort of what I was put here to do, and I'm glad to be doing it here in Prince George's County.
And I'm glad to know you, because I have people that I try to send to you, you know, and not only just you, but the loan modification thing as well. But
I think that's also a wealth preservation model as well.
Yes.
Because you're trying to help somebody save their home. If they need a loan modification, inevitably they're behind on their mortgage, and we're trying to help them save their home from foreclosure. We don't want them to get to foreclosure. We want them to be able to keep the home, and we want them to be able to pay what they owe on the house, and hopefully that house will continue to go up in value. So if they want to sell it, then they can reap the benefits, or hopefully what will happen is it'll stay in their family for generations to come. They'll pay that house off, and then they can pass that wealth on to the next generation. Right. Hence, generational wealth.
Generational wealth. That's what you've talked about as long as I've known you. Yes. It's about, it's all about family and making sure that, you have a legacy to leave to your family, which is so important. Yeah. And if people are not educated on generational wealth or how important it is to have something to pass on to somebody else.
Well, I'm not one that knows Bible verses by heart, but you have actually shown how it's actually biblical about how a person is supposed to be able to pass wealth down to the next generation and to the next generation and whatnot. So I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I just think that it's just so important. Home ownership, is that foundation, in my opinion, to creating and building generational wealth. Because the people out there who are watching this show, they either had to get up every day and go to work, or they're retired. They were working every day, and many of them were working in order to pay off that mortgage, to maintain that house and whatnot. So I just think that it's the building block to creating and investing in your family, in that wealth model in your family. So. And
I think that our minorities, great grandparents, try to instill that into us by them working hard and trying to maintain their home and making sure that you had a home, and then they would tell you stories, about your generation, so that different things about your heritage, which is part of that generational wealth. You should know about your heritage and from whence you came. And I think that I just remember that my grandmother and my aunts that were her sisters, all of them around that age, that they always made it a point to sit down and have a conversation with us to talk about generational wealth. And so when you said it the first time, it just brought back memories of being able just to sit down and talk, and somebody sit down and try to tell you about your family heritage and whose pictures are who, because it's important.
Yeah.
I have a picture I'm gonna show you when we leave if I have it on my phone, of my great-grandfather. If I didn't know from when I was little that was my great-grandfather, no joke, and somebody showed me that picture, I'd be trying to figure out who is that Italian man. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So we need to make sure that not only are we talking about generational wealth, we talk about generations themselves, so that we know from whence we came from.
Wealth is just not material things.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like you've just been talking about. It's about family. It's about knowledge, about knowing where you come from, so you can figure out who you are, so you can sort of plot a path to figure out, you know, where you're gonna go. So, I mean, yeah, when I talk about generational wealth, you know, I'm talking about like home ownership and things of that nature. But I'm so happy that what you are talking about is not just material things, but things that are more important than material things.
Yeah, because somebody passed away and you go through a family book and you be trying to say, well, who are these people?
Yes.
And somebody say, yeah, I don't know, that's your great-great-grandfather, you know, that's Cousin Lucy.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And you ain't never seen Cousin Lucy, because Cousin Lucy was dead by the time you got big, right? So
yeah, but the thing about it is,
if you don't talk about it and show people,
then she gets lost.
Yes.
Her memory gets lost.
Yes.
But if you talk about it, you know, even with those pictures and whatnot, then, you know, her memory goes on, and she, you know, that she gets to live on with the family.
Within your soul and your spirit, And so I think that is important too. I don't know why that came in our spirit. We're talking about this, you know, too, about financial as well as family, you know. All of it comes together when you're talking about what you say, generational wealth. It encompasses all.
Yes.
And excuse me, that was the first time I had the cough since I've been here. So I think that it's so important that we sit down and talk to your children, you know. Pull out some of them books that you have with all them pictures in it. And if you don't know who it is, why some of them aunts and uncles are still alive, you need to sit down and talk to them too, you know, to find out who this is.
And guess what's coming up? The holiday season.
Yes.
You know, it is a time for family. Thanksgiving, you know, the Christmas or, you know, whatever you celebrate during the holiday season and whatnot, those times are coming up. So I agree with you 100%.
Gather
now
that
is
stuff
the time.
up now. Yep, gather
now
that stuff
is the
up.
time.
And you'd be surprised to some of you that you had property down in Virginia, okay, that somebody's paying taxes on.
Yeah.
Okay. Or you got property down there in Upper Marlboro, you know, deep down there in Southern Maryland, that somebody's paying taxes on it, you know. But you never know. And if you don't get involved in it, you know, and they pass away, it becomes tax credit. Somebody else gets it. Your family, somebody struggled to pay all those taxes all that time on that property.
Somebody worked that land.
Yep, somebody worked that land.
That land provided
an income.
A way of living. You know, a income for somebody going back generations in your family, and your family go lose it because the knowledge, the wealth of knowledge is lost.
Yes, it wasn't passed on. We had tobacco farms, you know, and we would visit when I was little. We had a pig farm. I was scared to death of the pig and the chickens, okay? When I was coming up, and I swore I wasn't going back across the Chesapeake Bay again to go visit no pigs and chickens, okay? And my father said, I just did not. I did not eat meat. I didn't eat chicken or meat or pork for almost 2 years. I was a self-employed before anybody started talking about vegetarians. It was cereal, okay, and whatever else. But when I saw them slaughter a pig, I thought it was just so gruesome that I said, nope, don't want that. Then the rooster, not the chicken, the rooster tried to jump on my sister, right? So that was horrifying. I mean, you know, and she wasn't doing nothing. All she was trying to do is talk to him, right? So there are things that I have in my memory that I try to tell my children, you know, that they don't know about, you know, that things that
Well,
we
I
have.
ain't never. You can look at me. I ain't never had that problem with with being vegetarian. So.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I was young for a minute.
Yeah.
I didn't want to know. My father said, "Why are you being so?" He didn't say silly. I'm gonna say silly to put it nicely. Why are you being so stupid? Because I go to the grocery store and buy the same meat, and you eat it. How do you think where it came from?
Yeah.
So, child, would you please sit down and eat a meal? Okay. Yeah. Well, really, I mean, I couldn't put the two together. I could, but I didn't want to see the realization that food that was coming from the supermarket and that food that I saw that was getting ready to be made for us to eat, okay, couldn't deal with it. So it was a minute, but you got generational wealth that's sitting down there.
You're making me want some pork chops right now. So.
Man, I wouldn't mind having the pork chop myself. Now, I ain't got no problem with eating no food. You can see me too, right? I don't have no problem there. I ain't had a pork chop in a minute. But yeah, but you need to check with your family and see who is paying taxes on that family that down there in Virginia and down there in Southern Maryland, okay, that live and come from here, because somebody's paying those taxes.
So it is so. I think it is so refreshing that you gave a whole new take to what we consider to be generational wealth. It's just not the material things, but it's that family knowledge and whatnot also. So so thank you for that.
Well, thank you for saying that to me, you know, and our audience forever, you know what I mean? And I think this is the first time we've really gotten to depth about what you meant by that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, and like you said, the holidays are coming. So now it's time for you to get ready for the holidays so that you can gather some of that information up. Take a notebook with you, you know, when you go to Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas, you know.
And young people, you're on your phones all the time. So, you know, talk to your grandparents. You know, maybe you take some, maybe you scan some of them pictures in, and so you can create something that you can put on social media, you can put on Facebook, you can put on Instagram, you know, like the history of your family. So it can be out there and it can be preserved. I mean, you can do all types of, you know, creative type things, you know, with those pictures and with those, you know, with the information in them old Bibles and whatnot, you know, about who was born and when they was born.
There you go, dog.
And whatnot. You can do a whole bunch of creative stuff to preserve your family, your family's wealth and wealth of knowledge and whatnot. Yes.
And I'm glad you said something about the Bibles, is because, you know, your family has a big old Bible. Because most of the time in those big Bibles that you never even touched or looked at, because you used to carrying a certain size Bible. But in somebody's house, in that family, got a big old Bible, and inside that Bible, up to the point when somebody stopped recording.
Yep.
It gives you the history of your family, okay? And who shot John or whatever, you know. I mean, that was just an expression. But whoever it is in your family. And if you see that book, you ask the person in there, are you keeping this updated? Doesn't look like it. Then ask them, can you take it? So that you can sit down and start filling in the gaps.
Or at least scan that information in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So it can be preserved.
Yes.
So because when certain people pass away, then you know that Bible gets
passed around.
Well, it gets lost. And then all of a sudden it's either at a junkyard or it's at a consignment shop or something of that nature, and your whole family's history could be lost.
Yes, absolutely, yes. I didn't even think about that yet, because sometimes they take stuff and take them to consignment shops, and they don't even know the value of it because nobody ever talked about it, you know. So yeah, so look for that big old Bible and see what aunt, uncle, cousin got that Bible is sitting in their house, is sitting underneath that coffee table, because that's usually where they are, okay? Yeah. And like you said, they have companies now that do that work for you. You know, I would still make sure I scan my pictures first before I send them to them. But they would make those frames for you for different collages and things that you can put on your wall. And then they have one that does books, you know, for you to be able to keep that heritage. You just need to write it down and they'll do it for you. So there are ways that I think that we just look at those commercials and we just say, oh, I'm going to do that. And we don't do anything, okay? So I think that it's so important in this day and time and things that are going on now that family needs to get closer, because young people think differently than old people, okay? And we're in a different age.
And that's okay.
Yeah. And
That's okay.
It is.
You know, but you guys got to talk and communicate with each other.
Absolutely.
You know, and find some type of common ground. So, because you're still family.
That's
at
right.
the end of the day.
That's right. At the end of the day.
Yeah.
And one thing too is that you never know when you're going to need somebody. And it's not about a need thing, but you never know. You know, so you need to keep your family close, you know, and your children even closer. And that's my message today, you know, because you never know what tomorrow is going to bring. And we have so many young people that are passing away, Donald, that we hear about in all these places, in the schools and things like that, you know, young, I'm talking about elementary school and junior high school, that you think that child was going to live forever, you know, and somebody that didn't even know them just snuffed them out, you know, because they didn't have anything better to do. So that's why I said, so don't take for granted, because it doesn't matter how old you are. You riding down the street, you're sitting in a car, you know, you minding your business and then you get shot. Doesn't matter how old you are. Bullet doesn't have no age on it, okay? And the people that are using them, I wish that they would stop, you know, because it's very dangerous what you guys are doing, and y'all are eliminating families, okay? And I just think that it's sad that we're still talking about these issues of people doing these drive-bys and going to the schools and going to the, you know, the grocery stores. That
person that you kill could be somebody that does something great one day. They could discover. Right. You know, they can discover a cure for cancer.
Yeah.
Or, you know, they could be like the next
president.
Barack Obama.
Yes.
Or Kamala Harris.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So I agree with you. I understand exactly where you're going with that.
Yeah,
yes.
And when you're sick at home, you ain't got nothing but time on your hand. You know what I mean? It makes you say, you know, that kind of thing. Then you're looking at the news, right? So I kind of try to stop looking at the news, but I do watch it because I need to know what's going on, so I can bring it to you guys, you know.
Of course.
But you start thinking about a lot of things, and you know, and so some of those things had crossed my mind, and I thought that it was important to share with other people too, because a lot of things that family used to do, I've noticed people that they don't do anymore, and they need to bring that back, you know, because family is important. When you don't have nobody else, you got family, okay? I don't care how mad you get with them, how mad they get with you, but if you call them up on the telephone, who you think gonna come help you? It's your family, okay? They done forgot about what y'all was mad about. Probably couldn't even tell you what it was, okay? But you have to keep in contact with each other. Look, these telephones make it easy for you, because even if you're not on the phone having a conversation, which I think there's a better way to do, is to have the conversation, but you can always send an emoji. You can send one to say, I love you. You can say one, I thank you. You can send one with hearts on it. You can say one blowing kisses. You know what I mean? It's no reason for anyone not to be able to communicate with their father. You know, I send y'all stuff all the time.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, to everybody that I do, I try to, you know, use those. Those emojis make it very easy for you to communicate, okay? So pick up a phone before the holiday comes, Dawn. Send out a heart, because I'm wondering if you know what the one that's not red means. You know what the other heart? I send it to y'all. It's a passion heart.
Okay.
It's a purple heart.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and it means passion. Okay, so it's like, I love you with passion. Okay, the other one is I love you, but the purple heart is I love you with passion. So now you know. Okay. So it's just so easy for us to be able to talk to each other. So I'm just saying, and we don't want to forget to tell you on this episode, because I don't know which one of the shows you watch, is about what, Donald? But we don't want them to forget that's coming up.
It's time to get out and vote.
Yes.
It's time to exercise your most fundamental right as an American citizen and go out and let your voice be heard. And the primary way that you let your voice be heard in this country is to get out and vote. You can complain about how things are, but if you don't get out and vote, then you are the problem. So go out and vote. Go out, do your, as Paula always says, do your research. Find out who aligns with your beliefs and your opinions and your views, and vote for that person. Okay? So I'm not going to sit here and tell you who to vote for.
Right, we can't
and
do
whatnot, but exercise your most fundamental right. Exercise the right that people have died for, people have given their lives for. The opportunity for you to exercise your fundamental rights as an American citizen. Vote.
And Donald, you know, it's so amazing that our spirits be so in line, because while you're talking, the thing that came across my mind is that what you just said, it's very important for you to vote. I mean, you know, people died. That piece. That people died just so that we could vote.
Yes.
You know, and people marched, and I was part of some of those marches that were here in D.C. I was able to pray over a group of people at the monument. You know, and I'm sorry, the Lincoln Memorial. On those steps of the Lincoln Memorial, it's that every time I see that, I see the Lincoln Memorial, the monument, because you know it's along that road, and that's what I see when I looked out and prayed over all those people. I mean, that was a gift from God, you know. But people died. I mean, the people in slavery, you know, they died just to make sure that we could vote.
Yes.
You know, and then it's just a shame that we've come to the point where we want to change the let me tell you what the general said last night. Kelly, we were talking about him on another show.
Okay.
He said that and it's not my quote, it's what he said, it's in the news, it was on Stephen Colbert last night as well, that he said that this particular ex-president doesn't even know what the Constitution and rule of law is. Now that's serious, okay? Because we need to understand what our constitutional rights are, and we need to understand what rule of law. You would be surprised at how many people out here don't even know what rule of law is. Seriously, if you sit down and talk to them. They've heard of the Constitution, you know, they know what that's about. But when you start talking about rule of law, so I'm not just gonna say him, there's a whole lot of folks that don't know what rule of law is, okay? But we need to find out. I'm not going to tell you what it means, but I want you to find out, what does the Constitution say and what is rule of law, okay? Because those two things are very important for you to have an understanding about what's going on in this election, okay? Would you say not?
I'm sorry?
Knowledge-wise. Not knowing what the Constitution and what rule of law is.
I don't know.
So far as, I threw you off on that one. I'm talking about, when this man said that the ex-vice president doesn't know what the Constitution or the rule of law is, he said that by working with him, General Kelly.
Okay. So I didn't actually hear what he said.
Okay, no, I know you didn't. I'm telling you what was on the news last night.
Okay.
That they put it up so you could read it as well, okay?
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that, well, you just can't talk about him if you don't know what the Constitution of the United States says, or if you don't know what rule of law is, if you don't know how a bill is made, if you don't, like we always talk about Schoolhouse Rock, if you don't know those things, because we're up for Senate seats, okay? So you need to know what goes on in Congress, okay? So that's why I was asking you, don't you think that that's important, you know, that people are aware of what the Constitution says, or what the rule of law is, or how a bill is made, what law is, you know, because they have things that are out there that are very simplistic, like Schoolhouse Rock, that'll tell them some of those things, right? Because the reason why I bring that up is because it's been so many things that have been reversed, that we had fought for, so far as women's rights were concerned, and they got overturned. Okay, yes. So, but if you were paying attention, or if you knew how important that was, then you would pay attention to what goes on in Congress. Okay, so if you don't know what those things are, then it becomes a detriment to this country, because we have so many people that are not knowledgeable about things that they need to be knowledgeable about, especially when it's an election coming up. That's my point.
I agree with you, yes. Yeah,
that was the point that I was trying to make, because that was said, and I'm saying, well, you can't talk about him. I mean, how many other people know? You understand what I'm saying? What those things are. I think that early in my life, because of the people that I was around, we talked about that, because at one point I didn't know what rule of law was. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it's about who you with and what you read and the knowledge that you try to gain and try to understand. And we try to give you guys knowledge as much as we can, to have you go look at stuff and look at things. Not because we're not saying that you don't know, but if you know somebody that doesn't know, then, if you could kind of give them a lesson, Because Schoolhouse Rock is one of the most simplistic things, and it's also a group of young kids that come on MPT. Is that MPT? Public Broadcasting. But they actually do a thing on citizenship.
Okay.
And they do a thing on, it's very good. I mean, it's very, very good. They did it on citizenship, they do it on the Constitution, they do it on law, and that comes on one of those public access channels. I think it's MPT, I think.
So Maryland, so there's PBS, which is the Public Broadcasting System, and then I think the MPT is part of PBS.
Yes,
so
it is.
So MPT is like the local, like Maryland Public Television.
Okay.
So that's like the local part of PBS.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a younger. They have, and it's a mixed group in there. It's not a cartoon. These are young, maybe junior high school.
Okay.
And they do a fantastic job of giving you explanation on what we're talking about now.
Okay.
Okay. So I recommend that you look it up. My dog looks at it. I'm trying to teach my dog how to count, okay? Because they have a dog show that comes on.
Oh, really?
And they teach the dog how to count.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That was as a joke. I was trying to lighten it up a little bit. Anyway, is it something that you want to say?
No, I mean, I just think that we've covered a lot here this evening. Mm-hmm. We've talked about generational wealth. We've talked about material wealth. We've talked about that intrinsic knowledge, that is part of, your family, and that's part of the wealth that you need to pass on to the next generation. And we talked about exercising your most fundamental rights as an American citizen to go out and vote. I mean, we are on the eve of that time, and I'm excited about going out and voting, and hopefully you are too, and hopefully you're going to go out and exercise your right to vote.
And Medicare, don't forget, that started already the 15th and it ends on December the 7th, and they will help you, okay? So please don't let that bypass you, because some of the things for prescriptions have changed, and some of the things have changed so far as monies are concerned for Medicare. So look that up, please. With that, both of us want to say good night. I want to shake your hand tonight. Thank you, sir.
Good night.
And good night.
And thank you for watching us this evening.
Thank you. Yeah.
This is the moment I knew. His future had no boundaries.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Hey, did you know 2.4 million loving cats and dogs in shelters and rescues need our help to find a home? Let's go to theshelterpetproject.org and meet if you are in a shelter near you. Harlow, oh, she's one great listener and loves to hear all your stories. My kind of cat. Cerulo is a sweet, goofy boy who's eager to please. Sounds just like another dog I know. So go to theshelterpetproject.org, search your local shelters and rescues, and go for a cuddle with your next best friend. Adopt.